So I don't know if I answered your question there, but that would be the way that I would think about explaining the monetization as you go out and raise money.
Right there.
Hi, sorry, my name's David Pito from the All In Group. As someone who's kind of raised VC before and sold and is kind of doing it again for another company, it's a question for Andreas, actually. My financial model is stuck in what I think is a whopping percentage for cost of money raised, which I've not done before because I've gone direct to VCs, which is more applicable to what you do. So my question for you guys at Allen & Co. is, what kind of size deals do you look at? How do you rate your percentages you charge, or how do you work out? Because obviously you've got to choose businesses that you think are worth going through the process of capital raising for. So how do you play those things together?
We typically get involved when a company's looking to raise sort of $15 million plus of equity capital, and go to institutions to raise that money. In terms of how we charge, I mean, we charge as a percentage of gross proceeds, which is the industry norm, and that's, for an equity raise. I mean, I don't want to put a rate card out here, but I mean, it's kind of typical with what other people charge, which is, call it 5% of gross proceeds.
Okay, we're going to have 3 more questions, and I want the 3 best questions that we've ever heard in this particularly distinguished lecture theatre. I've heard some pretty good ones here. So the pressure is on. I can see one here, and then I'll come that way. Yeah, okay.
Hi, I'm Will Rowan from Football United.
Football United?
Yes.
What's that?
Fan source news.
Fantastic.
We're going to make the old media redundant, Rory.
I love it. We are already. Collecting my pension very soon, I can tell you. Yeah.
I think we could all agree that the web and mobile phones are now mainstream. Even the late adopters are using the internet. There'll be a few who, of course, haven't quite got to it yet, but perhaps they never will. Are there businesses around from the early days of the web that you would love to resurrect, from those days when there just weren't enough people around to make them a viable business? If somebody could reinvent beans, for instance, if you remember that far back,
that's a great question.
What would you love to see somebody walk into your office with and say, please fund me?
So if I came along to you today with, I've got this great concept, it's an online fashion retailer, it's going to open in 16 countries at once, and it's going to have 2 Swedish people fronting it. You going to buy? But seriously, are there ideas whose time hadn't come last time around, but maybe it has this time?
Sure. I mean, there were actually businesses out there in the late '90s and at that era that were similar to Twitter, in fact, where they were basically text over cell phones, but the network infrastructures weren't capable of really dealing with them in kind of bulk, and the interfaces weren't really there to make it interesting. So
mobile payments, time has come.
I think people would argue that it's going to come at some point soon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Any ideas that you remember from the late '90s that you'd like to resurrect?
So I was struggling to think of a cool company that I could name, and I can't. But I think that the bigger point is that nearly every successful company isn't the first to have its idea. Skype wasn't the first voice over IP service, not by a long shot. I say that because we invested in one before then, and you still haven't heard of it, right? So lots of things. Bebo wasn't the first social network. There are a few, including one you had, right? Attempts at getting to figure out the model, and that's always the case. And getting the timing right is critical.
Michael, any thoughts?
The question is sort of, what company would I start now, in a way, isn't it? Cause
yeah.
I think anything that was a good idea back then has certainly been done by now, if it failed the first time around. I think Beans, the Beans specific example is sort of happening now. There's a lot of payment gateways and stuff on Facebook and others that is sort of, to a degree, replicating the Beans concept.
I mean, let's just like broaden it out. Well, what is, in these days of gloom, what is there out there as a business or an idea or a young company that you particularly admire? Is it Twitter? Is it mobile payments? Is it mobile broadband services of various kinds, or what?
I think more maybe as a category. I think music I'm excited to see what's going to happen with music. I think something exciting is going to happen.
Are you excited about Spotify?
They're probably doing better than maybe anyone else at the moment. So I'm excited about the model, and I think it's that sort of utopia thing. If there's one site that does that really well, it would be great. And I think they've got a pretty good chance of succeeding in that. But I'm interested to see what happens in that space. I mean, there's more people approach me about music-related ideas than probably anything else. And obviously, almost all of them are going to fail.
Yeah.
But I think
But
one or
there's
two
finally a
big
sense,
ones
isn't
will
there,
come
that maybe the music industry after all these years might be about to get its act together.
out. Yeah, and the winners won't be the record
The
labels,
labels.
of course.
Shame that, yeah.
It is a bit
There we are.
shame,
Yeah.
because we all love them.
Yeah. Andreas, what excites you?
Well, I think that a couple of years ago, the concept of virtual goods would have fallen on deaf ears, and I think that the last sort of year or two has shown that's a business area done right in the right type of distribution. That's a big moneymaker. And the
Are you talking about gold in World of Warcraft or what? What are you
gold
talking
in World of Warcraft,
I've got an 18-year-old
upgrading your soccer uniform
working
and
upstairs
Power
right at
Challenge.
home now, earning a lot of it. So I'm interested in this. This is good.
Yeah, so the question is, is that a sustainable business model? What are the barriers to entry there? But clearly, people are making a lot of money off of it right now. There are a number of companies out there, whether it's Activision Blizzard, who does World of Warcraft, or a company like Playfish, for example, that's doing social network-based gaming, and that's funded partially by revenue from virtual goods. I think that's an exciting area.
Excellent.
I'm going to go off piece a little bit and say Just Giving. They're kicking ass at the moment and doing a bit of good at the same time. So.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Right. We have, I think, the last question. Where's it going to happen? Where's it going to happen? Who's going to wave hardest? Wave hard, hard, hard. Right at the back, I've got somebody waving very vigorously. Yeah, that's behind you, I'm sorry.
Brenda Hobday.
With the white hair. I'm sorry. Is that fair?
It's blonde.
It's blonde, with the blonde hair.
Hello, sorry. Brenda Hobday from the Big Charity Shop. Have any of the panel invested in any deals where the founder has clawed back shares based on targets?
Pretty straightforward question, I think.
Yeah, I can't think of any.
So where the founders' equity has increased if they hit their targets? No, typically I think you cut a deal and that's it, right? People, I guess, and back in the 90s there were a lot of ratchet deals, and they can be quite common in private equity, but they get very, very complicated, and I think it's just you put in a ratchet when you can't agree on valuation, and if you can't agree on valuation at the start, that's probably not a good sign. So it's much better to agree up front.
Very easy for incentives to get muddled with those types of ratchet deals.
Well, normally an entrepreneur is incentivized enough because they own a good chunk of the stock, so you don't particularly need to add on further incentives in that way.
Right, well, there's a note on which to wrap things up. Thank you very much. You've been a wonderful audience. I think we're all feeling quite a deal more cheerful. I'm feeling particularly cheerful because I'm Michael Birch's Bebo friend, and I think I've got the email address for his fund. So I'm going away to work on my business plan. Thank you very much. You've been a lovely audience.